Right now, somewhere above your head, a satellite worth more than most office towers is screaming across the sky at 17,000 miles an hour. There are thousands of them up there. And here's the weird part. Legally, nobody owns the space they're flying through. Not the United States, not China, not Elon Musk, nobody. Sounds like fun trivia. It's actually the reason the next big fight on Earth is going to happen 22,000 miles above it. So who owns space? Stick around because the answer's messier than you'd think, and it's all on this episode of Tech Map. Back up to 1967, the Cold War's at full boil. The Soviets put up the first satellite, then the first man, and America's sweating about who slaps a flag on the moon first, and maybe parks a few nukes up there while they're at it. Everybody's scared. So the big powers sat down and signed the Outer Space Treaty. One document. And that same piece of paper still runs the show today. Its core rule is dead simple. No country can claim space. Not the moon, not Mars, not a single rock floating between here and Jupiter. Sounds clean. It's anything but. Here's what the treaty actually says. Around 115 countries have signed on. It bans any nation from owning the moon or the planets. It bans weapons of mass destruction in orbit. And it says space is the province of all mankind. Generous words. But look at who wrote them. This was a handshake between governments, drafted back when launching a rocket meant you were either Washington or Moscow. Nobody at that table pictured a guy in California whose company puts up more rockets in a month than most countries manage in a decade. They wrote a rule book for 2 players. We've got dozens now, and plenty of them aren't governments at all. Which brings us to the loophole nobody saw coming. Fine, you cannot own the moon, but can you own what you scrape off it? The water, the metal, the helium-3 buried in the dirt? The treaty goes weirdly quiet right there. And in 2015, the United States looked at that silence and drove a truck through it. Congress passed a law saying American companies can keep and sell whatever they mine in space. You do not own the asteroid, you own everything you dig out of it. It is like saying you cannot own the ocean, but every fish you haul out is yours. Other countries caught on fast. Luxembourg, smaller than Rhode Island, passed its own version almost overnight, trying to become home base for space mining companies. The United Arab Emirates did the same. Suddenly, there is a quiet race to be the friendliest country on Earth for a business that does not exist yet. Now, while serious lawyers argue about mining rights, there's a much dumber scam that's been running since the 1980s. You can buy land on the moon today. About $25 gets you a fancy deed with your name on it. People have bought millions of these. Celebrities, ex-presidents, your weird uncle, and every one of them is worth exactly nothing. The guys selling them point at that gap in the treaty and say it only bans countries, not people. Cute. No court anywhere backs it up. But the scam tells you something real. People want a clear answer about who owns this stuff so badly they'll pay for a fake one. That hunger is the whole story. Here is the thing though. The real fight was never about the moon. It is about orbit. One thin ring, specifically geostationary orbit. The sweet spot where a satellite circles at the exact speed Earth spins, so it just hovers over one spot. That is where your television signals and weather satellites live. And there are only so many parking spaces in that ring. There is only so much radio spectrum to talk to all of them too. Run out of either and your signals turn to mush. So who hands out the spots? An agency you have probably never heard of, based in Geneva, part of the United Nations. Their system is basically first come, first served. File your paperwork, launch, and the slot is yours. Now look at what is coming. Starlink alone wants something like 42,000 satellites up there. Amazon is building a fleet. So is China. Europe wants in. Whoever launches first locks down the real estate. It is a land grab, except the land is empty sky and nobody is technically allowed to own it. That does not matter. Possession is the whole game. Back on the moon, the United States tried writing some new rules. They are called the Artemis Accords. The idea is simple. When you build a base up there, you get a safety zone around it, so nobody crashes into your equipment or kicks moon dust all over your solar panels. Reasonable, right? Critics took one look and said, "Hold on, that is ownership wearing a hard hat. Draw a zone, tell everyone to stay out, and you have fenced off land in a place where fences are supposed to be illegal." A bunch of countries signed up anyway. Russia and China flatly refused. They saw an American-led club writing American-friendly rules, so they are building their own moon base instead, with their own partners and their own version of the rulebook. So now there are two camps drawing up two sets of laws for the same gray rock. That never ends quietly. And all of it comes crashing back to Earth the second something goes wrong. Because stuff up there is starting to hit other stuff. Old rocket parts, dead satellites, debris moving fast enough to punch a hole clean through a spacecraft. When two of them collide, and they have, who pays? Who's on the hook for the cloud of shrapnel that's now a threat to everybody else's hardware? The 1967 treaty does say the country that launched something is liable for the damage it causes. Great, but the men who wrote that rule pictured a handful of government satellites, not tens of thousands of commercial ones owned by companies that might not exist in 20 years. There's no space tow truck, no cleanup crew, no clear bill when things break. The old rules are bending under traffic they were never built to carry, and you can hear them starting to crack. So let me give it to you straight. Nobody owns space. Not yet. Not a country, not a company, not the guy who sold your uncle a moon deed. But here's what's actually true off the ground. Space gets owned by whoever shows up, builds something, and refuses to leave. The treaty says the stars belong to all of us. Maybe. The next 10 years decide whether that was a real promise or just a pretty sentence we wrote down back when nobody could actually get up there to test it. So what do you think? Should space stay wide open, free for anyone brave enough to reach it? Or does somebody need to be in charge up there before it all turns into a junkyard with no rules? Drop your take in the comments. I really want to hear it. And if you got something out of this one, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. Go check out our other videos and let's keep our eyes on the sky together.